Hello there and welcome to the So You Picked series, Job Edition, where we look into your toolkit, how and where to get your jobs done, and have a quick look at your starter job gauge as well. Now, today we're going to be looking at Black Mage, which can be quite daunting and confusing, so especially at higher levels. So hopefully me and Rin will be able to shed some light on how it all works and how it all connects together. So Rin, ready to jump straight in? Good. Let's head out. Enjoy, guys. Right, guys. So, before we jump into the thaumaturge stuff, I'm going to have a quick look at the elemental gauge, which is your job gauge. Really, to be fair, thinking about it, I should have done it in the beginner's video, the first video, but I completely forgot about it. So, we're going to look into it now. So your basic elemental gauge, you will unlock features of it over time. It will give you all the information you need, which is quite cool. But the basic one is the orb in the middle. Will let you know if you're in fire stance or ice stance, and obviously the little 14 in the picture. That is how long that buff how long the buff has got left on it. Okay, every time you use a fire spell or ice spell, it will reset your timer back to 15 seconds. Got to try and keep it up as much as possible. And the little crystals in the top left hand corner, those are your astral fire stacks. So if you've got one crystal, you have one stack. Two, obviously two stack, and three stack. I think 3 stack is maximum you can get. And that means you're doing the maximum amount of damage or MP regen that you can. Nice and easy bar to begin with. Now when you get at higher levels, more features will unlock on it, and I'll go into that a bit more when we actually unlock the feature. Right guys, we do need to finish off the thaumaturge toolkit and quickly go over the basic AOE rotation for thaumaturge, because that's tied into the last couple of skills in the thaumaturge toolkit. So we're going to have a quick look at those now. Right, so to finish off the thaumaturge toolkit, first up at level 18 you will get Fire 2. Now Fire 2 is your AOE version of your fire damage, your fire spell. It costs 1500 MP to cast and deals fire damage with a potency of 80 to the target and all enemies nearby it. Obviously has an additional effect as well, will grant astral fire or remove umbral ice. And at 26 you will get Thunder 2, which is similar to Fire 2, is the AOE version of Thunder. And that will deal lightning damage with a potency of 30 to your target and all enemies nearby it. Adding a lightning damage over time, and that will last for 12 seconds. Now it has an additional effect which will become available when you reach level 28 and get the trait called Thundercloud. Now what the Thundercloud trait does is it will give your Thunder Dot a 10% chance to generate a Thundercloud buff, which will make your next Thunder cost no MP, and it will do its full dot damage all in one go, as well as reapplying the actual dot itself. So it's very much worth doing that as soon as it becomes available. Just kind of weave it in. Don't wait until you're reapplying yourself. Just do it anyway, just to get that free extra damage. And next at level 30, you will get a skill called Mana Ward. Now that will create a barrier that nullifies the damage totaling up to 30% of your maximum health points. Quite a decent shield. Has a 2-minute cooldown though. You would use Mana Ward in situations where you know that you can't escape the AOE or the attack that's coming. You would pop Mana Ward, which will reduce the amount of damage that you take and will help your healers out a great deal. So use it wisely. Obviously, you would try and get out of all the AoEs as much as possible. But trust us, your healers will like you. You'll like you. Now, the next up, 34, will do Fire 3 and Ethereal Manipulation. We're going to pair those in with the job stuff more than the Thaumaturge stuff, purely because they kind of synergize a little bit more with the job stuff than it does Thaumaturge. So we're going to check out those at a later point in the video. Right guys, so now I've had a look at finish off the toolkit. We're going to have a quick discussion about the AOE rotation for Thaumaturge, lower level 1, as well as AOE rotations in general. Obviously when to use, like mainly when you should use your AOE rotation over a single target. Now the general rule, dungeon rule, is if the tank pulls, or the enemy mob, if the amount of enemies you're fighting is more, like 3 or more, then you would use your AOE rotation to get them all down quickly. If it is 3 or less, then it's more beneficial for you to use your single target rotation and kill them that way, because it's more efficient. It's generally about efficiency. So to recap, 3 or more enemies use AOE abilities, less than 3 use your single target. Nice easy stuff. So Thaumaturge's AOE rotation, his basic one, isn't that much different from the single target one, with the exception that you would replace Thunder with Thunder 2, the AOE version, and you will use Fire 2 instead of Fire 1. So your AOE rotation will look something like this. Very straightforward. So you would start in Blizzard, straight into your Thunder 2, then you would transpose as usual, and then you would hit them with Fire 2. Now you can get a good solid 3 hits of Fire 2 before you have to regen your MP. And also you would do the same as before, transpose back to Ice, use your Blizzard, and then back into Thunder, transpose, and then repeat. Just pop him back into there. Right, so that is your basic AOE rotation. Now it will slowly upgrade over from 30 to 50. Your AOE rotation will upgrade and you'll swap certain skills out for different ones, but obviously we will go through that later as well. Right, Rain, so let's head back into town and let's go unlock Black Mage. So now we've made it back into town, you'll be heading back to see Kokobuki over here in the Thaumaturge Guild. Now to unlock the Jobstone, you will need to have done the following things. Firstly, you need to reach level 30 in the starter class for the job that you want, in this case Thaumaturge. Secondly, you will need to be past the main scenario quest called Self-Management. A lot of people miss that one out. And lastly, you need to have done all the class quests up to level 30, and that level 30 quest will lead you to your job quest givers and ultimately your Jobstone. In this case, we're going to be sent to go and see Lalai over by the Milvaneth Sacrarium on the other side of Uldar. Now, you can run all the way there. It's right the way on the other side of town. However, I find the easiest way to get there is to take the Ethernet. So if you head out of here, straight down to the Ethernet shard. And if you go down, you take the Weaver's Guild teleport. And once you're over by the Weaver's Guild, you will head to the southwest, up this lovely ramp, past the Calamity Salvager here, and just at the top of these stairs will be Lalai right here. Now, she is an absolutely adorable female Lala. She deserves all the love she can get. She's fantastic, I love her. She's very sarky as well. That's right. So obviously do her quest and you will end up unlocking the Jobstone for Black Mage and your first Black Mage spell. Now, once you have your Jobstone, you will need to equip it by going to the character menu, and you come all the way down to the bottom right hand side, and in this lovely slot in the bottom right hand corner you will equip the Soul of the Black Mage, and then congratulations, you are now an official Black Mage with a messed up hotbar. So now you can fix that one manually, you can put everything back on manually if you want, but to sort it out quickly, I would suggest using these text commands, which I'm going to put on screen now. And what those will do, you can either put them in a macro or you can type them directly into chat. And what it will do is it will copy your Thaumaturge hotbar over to your Black Mage one, so you don't have to redo your hotbars entirely. I'll just copy it straight over, making it nice and simple. So now, this is where we're going to mix it up a little bit, because we've got a lot of information to go over. So instead of looking at all the spells up to level 60, then hitting you with 2 different rotations back to back, giving you information overload, we're going to do it in 2 chunks. We're going to do level 30 to 50, and I'm going to show you the level 50 rotation, both AOE and single target. Then we're going to jump through, have a look at the 50 to 60 toolkit, and then have a look at the level 60 rotation. Now if you're interested in the level 50 rotations, stay put, we're going to go through them next. If you're not, and you're only interested in the level 60 stuff, by all means jump to this timestamp here, and we'll now basically skip this bit entirely for you. Let's jump straight into it. Right guys, so the toolkit for Black Mage up to level 50, you do get some interesting stuff, and it does change your main rotation. It does evolve your main rotation quite nicely. So level 30, you will get your first Black Mage spell will be Mana Font. Weirdly enough, it's an MP regen ability, which sounds strange considering you technically have unlimited MP, but it does have uses. What it does is it will restore 30% of your maximum magic points. Now, you would use that mostly in your level 50 rotation towards the end when you have your big boom. It's a way to get even more damage out of it. It's quite cool. Now, the other use for it is if you overdo it in fire, with your fire stance, and you don't have enough MP or enemies to do an ice move, and you're in a 0 stance, as in you're not in fire or ice, you've just let it run off, then you kind of screwed basically. But you can use Mana Font to get some magic points back, so that you can then restart your thing. It's basically kind of like a panic button. So next up, at level 34, you will get access to Fire 3. Now Fire 3 will deal fire damage with a potency of 240. Additional effect, jump you straight to Astral Fire 3, which is the maximum stacks you can get on it. Does the maximum amount of damage, and it will remove your Umbral Ice. So you can then use that to swap straight from your Ice stance straight into Fire stance without using Transpose. But you would still need to transpose back to Ice stance until level 40 when you get Blizzard 3. Fire 3 is counterintuitive because you will not be replacing Fire 1 with Fire 3 because it's expensive to use. It does decent amount of damage, but it's expensive to use. You're better off, or you need to just use Fire 3 to switch to Fire Stance until level 42, when you get a trait called Firestarter. Now what Firestarter does is it adds a proc which is similar to the Thundercloud one at level 28, which means it will grant a 40% chance that after casting fire, like Fire 1, your next Fire 3 will, if it pops, it will require no magic points to use and it will be instant cast, which is when you would start using Fire 3 a little bit more. So basically you'll be using Fire 3 to switch to Fire Stance and use Fire 1 to fish, it's called fishing, for Firestarter procs, which then means you can use your Fire 3 for free, in essence doing more damage overall, which works similar to your Thundercloud proc, which you get at 28. Now next up, level 40, you will get Blizzard 3, which is a straight up replacement for Blizzard 1. This one you will replace Blizzard 1 with it, and it is the counterpart to Fire 3. It will deal ice damage with a potency of 240, and its additional effect, it will grant Umbral Ice Stage 3 and will remove your Astral Fire. So once you have both of those, you don't need to transpose between the two stances anymore, because you can just go straight from Blizzard 3 to Fire 3 and back. And then next up, you will get at level 45, you will get Thunder 3, which is a straight up replacement for Thunder 1. It comes in the form of a trait, so it will automatically replace Thunder 1 on your hotbar with Thunder 3. So it works exactly the same as Thunder 1, but it does more damage and it lasts longer. And then lastly, at level 50, you will get your big boom spell called Flare. Now that will deal fire damage to your target and all enemies nearby it, with a potency of 260 for the first enemy and 40% less for all remaining enemies. So it will hit everything in a big group for varying amounts of damage. And it will also grant Astral Fire 3 and remove Umbral Ice Stance as well. Now the MP cost is a little bit misleading because it says all, but it's not fully all. It will use all of your remaining magic points. They need to update the tooltip really. I think the minimum amount of MP you need to cast it is 1500. So that is your big boom spell at the end. It'll do a lot of damage, and that will be at the class as your finisher on your main level 50 rotation. Very cool shit. It is a very cool spell. Feels powerful just hitting them with a flare and a big explosion. It's the fun stuff. Right, so that has been your toolkit up to level 50. Now that you have all these spells, we are going to jump straight into the training dummy. I'm going to check back in with Rin, and I'll see you over there. Right, so we've travelled back to the training dummy in the Free Company Garden. Now, hopefully, Rin will not set fire to the house or scare the chocobos too much, because it is pretty close to the house and the stable. Should probably move that at some point. Now, we're here to have a look at the level 50 rotation in action. So your level 50 rotation will start off with, as usual, Blizzard 3. Straight into Thunder 3. Now we've just got a proc there for Thundercloud, so you would use that immediately. Straight into Fire 3, and then you swap to Fire 1. You will spam Fire 1. Using any Thunderclouds or Firestarters that come up. You just still spam Fire 1 until you run low on MP. Hit them with a free Fire 3. And you take it down to about 1500. Now then you would use Swift Cast. Then Flare, which will leave you with no magic points. And if you want to, if you have Mana Font available, you can Mana Font, do a second Flare, then hit Transpose, and then straight back into Ice Stance, and then repeat. The only difference is you will not be using flare every single time. You would only use flare when you have swift cast available. Right guys, so your AOE rotation will evolve very slightly to your basic one. Is the first change really to it. Firstly, you will replace Blizzard 1 with Freeze, which is a better AOE version of your ice spell. Much better than Blizzard 2, which you'll probably never use. You can just, that doesn't even need to be on your hotbar. You will add in Fire 3 before you would then use Swift Cast and then Flare. Now it's similar to your single target rotation. You will only be using Flare at this point in time to when Swift Cast is available. And you can add in a second Flare if you want to use Mana Font. You can add in a double Flare at the end whenever that's available as well. But it's not essential. It's just a little bit extra should you want to do extra. Obviously you would then have Transpose at the right at the end there as well, so you can switch back into Ice Stance in order to get straight back into Freeze. So in action that will look something like this. Obviously start with Freeze, straight into Thunder 2, and swap to Fire Stance with Thunder 3. Sorry, Fire 3 even. Now you can get a good 2 hits of Fire 2 and Swift Cast, Flare, then you would Transpose straight back into Freeze. Now in your second run through you would do the same thing, but instead of doing 2 Fire 3s you can get in 3 Fire 3s. That's 1, 2, 3, which will leave you with 500. And then you can Transpose straight back into straight back into Freeze, then repeat. Right guys, so that has been your look into the level 50 rotation, how it has changed since you're between 30 and 50. Nice and easy stuff. Like I said, your AOE one won't change to level 68, so you don't have to worry about that one. Your single target one will evolve over the course of the time between 50 and 60. So we're going to jump in and we're going to jump back into the spell book. I'm going to have a look at those right now. Right, so now we've looked at the 30 to 50 stuff, we can now jump into the level 50 to 60 part. Now if you've skipped ahead, you missed the Dancing Bunny, but seriously, glad you could join us again. Now, all of the level 52 to 60 abilities are directly tied to the job quests. Now those job quests will not be available to you until you reach Ishgard, which is the start of the Heavensward content. So if you haven't reached that far in the main story, be prepared to have a little bit of a wait before you can get these new abilities. So that being said, at level 52 you will get Ley Lines. Now Ley Lines is a buff. It will buff your spell cast time, your recast time, and your auto attack, which you can kind of ignore the auto attack, but it will boost all of those by 15%, and it will last for 30 seconds. As long as you're standing in that circle, you will be buffed. So it's also the Black Mage's bane, because there's nothing worse than dropping down your Ley Lines and having the tank pull the group away out of range, and then you have to just leave. You just have to abandon your Ley Lines. So make sure the tank is in a comfortable position and you won't be moving, pulling extra stuff before you drop your Ley Lines down. And next up after that we have Sharpcast at level 54. Now Sharpcast is another class as a buff, and that will ensure that the next Scathe, Fire or Thunder spell cast will, for the first hit, trigger the additional effect. Now next up is a big one at level 56. This is called Enochian. and it is a damage buff, and it will increase the magic damage dealt by 5%, all of your damage dealt by 5%. It will also allow the casting of your higher level spells, fire and ice spells, Blizzard 4 and Fire 4 respectively. You can only cast those spells while you are under Astral Fire or Umbral Ice and have Enochian up. So it's a buff that you need to keep up as much as possible to get the most damage out of it as possible, which is where flipping between your two stances just to keep Enochian up so that you don't have to reapply it when you start a new battle comes in handy. So that is one of your main buffs, and that once Enochian is up, your job gauge will look like this. The top picture, that little web looking thing will glow like more of a light gold instead of a dark gold. That tells you that Enochian is up. If that goes dark gold, it means you've lost Enochian and you will have to reapply it. Hopefully I described that well enough. If not, if you have questions about it, feel free to ask us in the comments and I'll try and explain it a little bit better. Right, and at level 58 you will get Blizzard 4. Now Blizzard 4 is a big hitting Blizzard spell. It will deal ice damage with a potency of 300, and it can only be executed while you're under the effects of both Enochian and Umbral Ice. And what that does is that has an additional effect which will grant you things called Umbral Hearts. You'll get 3 of them for casting Blizzard 4. Now they will appear on your little HUD as 3 little blue crystals on that bottom left hand corner of this bottom image. And what those do is they will nullify Astral Fire's MP cost gain. That will reduce the cost of your fire spells for 3 spells cast. That means you can get more fire spells thrown out in your fire phase. Incredibly handy to use. You need to try and use them as much as possible. Now next, at level 60, you will get access to Fire 4. Now Fire 4 is your big boom fire spell, and that will deal fire damage with a potency of 300. And like Blizzard 4, it can only be executed while you're under the effects of both Enochian and Astral Fire. Now the Fire 4 spells is what you'll be using your Umbral Hearts to do. Very cool shit. It's a very cool spell. And that is everything up to all your toolkit up to level 60. Some good stuff in there. So we're going to jump now. We are going to have a look at your level 60 rotation. So Rin, let's just jump back to the trading dummy. Right guys, so your level 60 rotation will look something like this. Once you're settled, once the tank or the boss is settled, you'll pop your ley lines straight into Blizzard 3. And if you haven't got Enochian up, you'll hit Enochian straight into Blizzard 4. Then into your Thunder, straight into your Fire. And you'll get a good 2 Fire 4s off. Then you'll want to do Sharp Cast straight into Fire 1 to reset your timer. Hit your fire starter and straight back into Fire 4s until you either run out of or run low on MP, or you run out of time. You're looking to be around about 4 seconds left is when you want to start switching, and you just repeat the rotation from there. Just skip the Enochian stage unless it's dropped off, and that's basically it really. Just keep an eye on your timer. When it gets to about 4 seconds, switch back to ice to reset. And once you get quite good at your timing, you can squeeze in a 3rd Fire 4 before you have to reset. But that's something that comes with practice. Just pop Enochian, reapply Enochian whenever you need to, and just pop up ley lines whenever you feel you need to, whenever it's available as well and you're reasonably stable. Now with ley lines, while you're inside the circle you have the buff. If you go out you'll disappear, but as soon as you go back in it'll reapply the buff to you. You will get a spell later on which will let you get back into your ley lines a little bit quicker. It will kind of like teleport you back to your ley lines, but that's at a higher level. So guys, that has been your level 60 single target rotation. Like as I said before, your level 50 AOE rotation will not change. That will stay the same up until level 68. That's when that one will change. So you would keep your level 50 AOE rotation, and then you would adjust your main single target rotation to your level 61 when you get the stuff. Right guys, so this has been our first look into the workings of Black Mage, all the way from level 30 up to level 60. Now hopefully I have explained it well enough for you all to understand. If you have more questions or other questions, feel free to contact us in the comment section. You can catch us on my Discord, or you can try and catch me in game. I'm on the Siren server. I will be there. I'm there most days, so feel free to swing by and ask some questions, and I can go through it in person with you should you want to. Right, Rain, so you've earned yourself a good old rest there. You pull up a seat. You do like your Black Mage, don't you? It is one of my favourites, even though I need some work on my dodging skills. You just like the big booms, don't you, Rin? Me too, me too. It's nice when it all goes to plan. Right guys, so thank you all for tuning in. If you are new here, feel free to subscribe. Come check out some of the stuff we've got going on. We would love to have you here. We all like comments and everything like that. If you're not new here, thank you again for the support. It is much appreciated. And you all know what's coming. Please like, share, comment, subscribe and all that jazz. And as always, we shall see you on the flip side. Bye bye.